Selamat siang semuanya. Perkenalkan kami dari kelompok 4 Bahasa Inggris. Dan kelompok kami terdiri dari 5 orang, yaitu saya, Stephanie, Prasidha, Putri Tamara, Natasha, dan Daniel. Pada pada topik hari ini kami akan menceritakan mengenai sejarah dari perkembangan hukum senjata di Amerika dan mengapa perkembangan hukum senjata tersebut sangatlah kontroversial dan dari mana asalnya dan mengapa hukum tersebut sangat di sangat dipertegas di Amerika dan kenapa mereka sangat kontroversial. Kami juga akan membahas mengenai sisi positif dan sisi negatif dari hukum senjata tersebut. Terima kasih.
Hi guys, how was your day?
It was good. What about yours?
Yeah, same with me. What did you learn in your class
I
today?
learned about the gun law today. Have you heard about the school shooting that happened in Rope Elementary?
Oh yeah, I think I heard about it somewhere.
Oh, I definitely heard about it. It's the one in Texas, right?
I think I heard about it. There's just not much detail I know of.
There are too much school shooting cases in America, so I don't really keep up with it.
Yeah, why is it so common though? I mean, compared to any other country, the amount of gun violence they have is very high.
I think it's because they don't really have any gun control set in motion.
Yeah, I think the only gun controls they have is set by the National Firearms Act, but then again, the only form of control they do is regulate a certain type of firearm where the manufacturers, dealers, and owner will be taxed on the sale and it needs to be registered upon purchase.
So there's really nothing prohibiting the citizen of gun use.
Not really. The usage of firearms is a part of the Second Amendment, so therefore it's a part of the citizen right.
Wait, really? Why is use of firearm a part of human right?
Well, when the Constitution was set in motion, the newly found American Revolution was one of the concerns of the founding fathers, and in their opinion, an armed and populous population is the key to a free state.
So it started as an attempt to defend the country from harm.
Pretty much. The Second Amendment states a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, which in my opinion proves that his is their attempt to keep the country safe.
What is militia?
Militia, according to dictionary, is a military force that is raised from the civil population to supplement a regular army in an emergency. I think the whole point of it is so they can help the army when there's attack in the country.
Oh, I see. But doesn't that mean only a certain groups of people can own a gun?
Supposedly, but then again, a lot of people have their own interpretation of the amendment, and that's why it's such a big deal in the US.
Yeah, as you know, nowadays an individual's right to bear an arm is guaranteed by the Second Amendment. Back then, there was a lot of arguments and debates on whether or not the amendment constitutes an individual right to bear an arm, and what was the intention of the amendment itself.
Then why is there a lot of individual use firearm now?
Yeah, it was meant to protect the country wasn't it? So why is it one of the biggest crime in the US right now?
Well, with no rules regulating the usage of firearms, the usage of firearms continues to spread, and then a lot of people started to use it in their crime. I mean,
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was the reason why the National Firearms Act was created to regulate the certain use of firearms that often used in criminal acts.
Yeah, and the NFA was actually created as a direct response towards the high number of violence in the US following after the Valentine's Day measure.
oh yeah, that's right. That was scary, but earlier it was said that the Second Amendment didn't necessarily support individuals' right to own an arm. So why did it change?
I think I read somewhere that there are several court cases that caused that rule to be changed.
Yeah, from what I heard, the Supreme Court never speak much on it until there's somebody who filed a case with the Second Amendment as their defense.
I heard about that. I think the first ever case I involved the Second Amendment in the U.S. versus Miller. It happened in 1935.
Why was he involved in that case? Did he file a suit? Was he arrested?
The latter, actually. Jack Miller and Frank Layton was members of a big gang who was known to a lot of robberies. And one day they were pulled over by the Oklahoma and Arkansas state trooper, where they found an unregistered sawed-off shotgun in their car.
Oh, it was regulated by MPA, wasn't it? Therefore, it needed to be to be registered. I mean,
Yep, and when it was revealed that the shotgun was unregistered, they were then arrested. Not only did they not register the gun, the firearms under the watch of the NFA also had to be reported to the federal government before being transported, which they didn't do.
Oh yeah, I remember about it now. Didn't he then claim that the NFA was unconstitutional and was in infringement on his Second Amendment and Tenth Amendment?
oh, it because if the individual's right to bear arms shall not be infringed.
So he used the Second Amendment and his and the judge holding the trial at that time was Judge Reagan, which came in favor of Miller after he ratted out his gang members.
So the judge let him, but in return he has to give up information on his gang members.
Pretty much.
But then the case was taken to the higher court to be appealed, in which it skipped the appellate court and goes straight to the Supreme Court.
What happened then?
The Supreme Court then reversed the lower court decision on March 13, 1939, and the Supreme Court sided with the state, claiming that the NFA violated the Second Amendment, and they were later arrested for transporting an unregistered gun.
So basically, what the court said is that the Second Amendment didn't guarantee the right of an individual to own a gun.
In this case, it seems like, yeah, the Second Amendment didn't support the individual right to own a gun.
Then why is it protected by the Second Amendment now then?
As I said, there are several cases leading up to the reason why the Second Amendment also protects the right of an individual and not just militia.
What's the next cases then?
The next cases come almost a century later, which is the District of Columbia versus Heller, and it took place in 2008 in Washington, D.C.
Wow, all the time anybody had a problem with the Second Amendment.
Oh, I know that one. It was the one where they built as a suit against this and handgun, right?
Yeah, that's the one. The suit was originally filed by Levi, where he claimed that the ban on handgun was an infringement on his Second Amendment.
That's right. And then he found 6 other residents who agreed to shoot that the state along with him, and one of them is Hitler, who was strongly against the initial gun ban and have even went as far as going against the National Rifle Association to attempt to sue the city, but his attempt was then declined.
What about the suit filed by Levi Taft? Did it get accepted?
Nope. The suit was also dismissed by the district court judge.
But the dismissal was then ratified by the appellate court, who decided that the DC handgun ban was indeed unconstitutional and argued that Second Amendment did protect an individual right to bear arms. They even said that the right to own firearms has been around before the constitutional exit.
That's a big claim.
Yeah, they claim that individuals have the right to own a firearm, whatever it was, for defending themselves for incrimination or just to hurt.
Wow, that must be a big moment for America.
It was actually, especially because the Supreme Court has been silent on the matter, so when they finally speak up on it and give clear statement regarding the amendment, it was a pretty big matter for America.
So from then on, the Second Amendment also recognized the individual's right to bear arms.
Yeah, they did. The support of the Second Amendment was strengthened by the upcoming case in 2010, which is the McDonald versus City of Chicago, when McDonald's filed a suit against the City of Chicago for banning private individuals to own a handgun in the city, which he claimed was infringement on his Second Amendment.
So now, the Second Amendment not only applied to federal government but also state and local.
Exactly, the Supreme Court then ruled in favor of McDonald and Chicago ban and handgun was deemed unconstitutional.
Ah, I see now. So that's where the gun law in the US started.
Yeah, I guess it sums it all up, but still, even with all this court decision on the Second Amendment, it's still a very controversial topic in the US.
With that amount of gun violence each year, why wouldn't it be controversial?
I want to know you guys' opinion regarding the Second Amendment. Do you guys think it's better to ban gun or not?
I wouldn't say we should ban guns. I'm saying that we definitely should put some sort of regulations on the matter.
Yeah, I think people nowadays can get guns so easily, and I think we also should raise the legal age of owning a gun because currently the legal age to get a gun is 18.
Is that low? You can't even get a drink at that age.
That's my point. That is definitely something we should fix.
Yeah, and registration upon purchasing is also necessary to keep track of who owns a certain type of guns or for safety.
Yeah, I agree with that. We should definitely do better in the matter of gun control so we can all be safe.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Terima kasih atas perhatiannya dan apabila kita menggunakan kesalahan dalam penggunaan kata, mohon maaf kami. Terima kasih.